Game time on the air. Final night before it starts for real. Warriors and Lakers in San Jose. JaVale McGee, a stretch five? Whoa! He only had one career three. Before that was in the regular season a bunch of years ago. Kyle Kuzma in the starting unit with 19. Durant, LeBron sat this one out. More from Lakers Warriors later in the show. East Lansing, Blake Griffin. While he is not trying to make Smitty's top plays below the rim, Blake had 29 and tearing down the rim here. Smitty, sorry.
Yeah, it's good to see Blake active and healthy. Love to see him attacking the rim.
Houston and Memphis, Rockets backcourt in action on Friday.
Not fair what Chris Paul is doing. Not fair.
Paul from the hash mark. Look at him. Rockets, their offense clicking after all the threes they made a couple days ago. Hornets and Mavs, Luka Doncic, 18 points, 4 threes, 4 assists, 1 turnover in 29 minutes. We'll talk Rookie of the Year conversation later on. The Jimmy Butler situation doesn't appear to be the Timberwolves' only problem. Giannis Antetokounmpo looks to be in midseason form. 32 points, 10 assists, 12 rebounds in 25 minutes. Bucks put up 148 on the Timberwolves. Giannis spinning and winning his way. And they look like they are heading into the regular season just right. Mike Budenholzer's got them going. Not the same for Minnesota. On the final night of the preseason, the biggest story is about a guy who didn't play and wasn't even in the same city as his team. Welcome to a 60-minute edition of Game Time. I'm Jared Greenberg. Still to come, in-depth highlights from all 11 of Friday's games. Plus, Steve Smith gets us ready for the new year with his 5 takeaways from the preseason. We start, though, with the Timberwolves. 6 months removed from Jimmy Butler willing Minnesota to the playoffs, ending the league's longest active playoff drought 2 days after a wild practice session that quickly turned into an urban legend. And maybe most importantly, 5 days from the start of the season, Jimmy Butler wasn't with the Timberwolves for Friday's game, and reports are swirling that trade talks between Minnesota and Miami have stalled after Heat President Pat Riley directed some strong words, to put it kindly, towards Tom Thibodeau. NBA.com's Steve Ashburner has been covering the Butler Wolves drama. On Friday, he was in Milwaukee speaking to coaches and players after shoot-around. Ash, welcome to the program. Let's start with this. What do you believe to be most likely between now and Wednesday's season opener for Minnesota? Butler gets traded, Butler suits up and plays for the Wolves Wednesday in San Antonio, or nothing changes and everything remains in a state of flux?
Well, there could have been another option you could have thrown at me, which would be Butler gets suspended by the Timberwolves. I mean, that's a possibility, too. I guess I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jimmy Butler suits up because he doesn't want to miss any game paychecks, and there's no indication that they're close to anything with any other team. So I think that things could get curiouser and curiouser, and Jimmy could find himself playing with a bunch of guys that either he doesn't approve of or they don't approve of him, or you have to take everybody's pulse on an hourly basis around that club to find out who's got stink eye for another guy.
Well, that's exactly where I want to go next. You mentioned Glenn Taylor, the team's owner. It's 2018, so of course, every time you breathe, there is a new layer to the story that gets reported. We've heard about Glenn Taylor's reported role in trade talks. I'm curious what you have been hearing, who is making and taking trade calls, and how ultimately does all of this impact Tom Thibodeau's job security, if there is more to it than you said, than a mandate just simply to make the playoffs?
Well, I mean, let's be pragmatic. Counting this year, Thibodeau is owed $24 million. And, even for a guy who's a double billionaire, that's real money. Glenn Taylor does not want to eat that kind of money and pay another guy to coach in the process. So you can say his job security is not great. I don't think that a lot of people have been fair with Thibodeau. And I talked about what he was brought in to do and what people signed off on, right up until, a month or so ago when this started to blow up. So, speculation about his job security, I don't know. It might be real or not. I mean, Glenn Taylor has made some pretty shaky decisions in the past. So to say, well, he's going to get impatient with Thibodeau here and hold him accountable. I know there are a lot of people that don't like Tom because he's tough for us to deal with in the media, and they feel that his systems are not 2018 modern for the NBA. I I still think that he's a terrific coach, and he cares first and foremost about his team winning games. And you know, if players have a problem with that, then it may say as much about them as it does about their coach.
Ash, you've covered Kevin Garnett throughout his career. You've written a lot about the big ticket. I want to read this quote that he gave to The Athletic today, written by John Krasinski. He says, it's an expletive storm up there. What's really the expletive storm is that can't nobody keep expletive in practice. What goes on in practice should always stay in practice, and what goes on between two conglomerates as businesses should always stay private. Everything is so expletive public now. He also, KG, went on to place blame on all parties for what has gone on there. But curious what you think about the impact Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins will have to all of this. They're both signed to long-term deals, and anyone within the organization, I'm curious if you feel that they're expressing concern that some of what Kevin Garnett is talking about here could be irreparable long-term damage on the franchise.
Could be. I mean, I think that there is comfort in those numbers that they have, both in length of contract and in value of contract. I mean, they have to understand that they have been chosen, and maybe they understand a little bit too well that they have been chosen as the future of that franchise. You know, that's a little bit what Jimmy Butler, you know, apparently is chafing over, that, you know, they've got their money. They haven't produced. They're being paid on potential. Nobody has ever paid him on potential. I mean, he's had to earn everything and then wait for it a little bit longer. And that's sort of the situation he's been in with his current contract and having to wait for his free agency. He obviously is not inclined to wait. He wants to change teams while he's still under contract. And that sort of freedom of movement, I don't think the NBA ever envisioned. So, you know, that's my biggest beef with Jimmy Butler. I'm all for free agents, you know, going whatever they want. And if it's Kevin Durant to Golden State, you know, okay, from a competitive standpoint, X's and O's, I might have basketball opinions on that. But if that's where he wants to work and play and it works under the rules, so be it. But when you're under contract, the contract's two ways. And Minnesota's supposed to be getting something from Jimmy Butler in that contract. And right now they're getting the exact opposite of something. They're getting negativity instead of any positive contributions. You know what? You mentioned Garnett. And let me say this. I mean, because I covered his whole run in Minnesota. And, yeah, he would commandeer practice, and he would be a blowtorch with his mouth and his game and disparage teammates and coaches and everything else. But he did that to fuel himself. He did that to energize his teammates. This stunt on Wednesday was done selfishly as a way to set up a prearranged interview, you know, with a national network, and it didn't have the betterment of the team in mind at all. You know, Kevin Garnett ran on that kind of intensity, and Jimmy Butler is almost sort of a fake KG if he's trying to beat his chest and say that somehow the Timberwolves are better off when he does something like he did on Wednesday.
Strong words, but great perspective from a man who has covered the Kevin Garnett years in Minnesota. Ash, hope you got your phone charger ready to go. We may need you throughout the weekend. Appreciate your time on this night.
Thanks, Jared.
All right, check out Steve Ashburn on NBA.com for more. Now, following the beatdown that the Wolves took in their preseason finale, Karl Anthony Towns was sounding the alarm, saying, quote, everybody in this league, I don't care if you're the Golden State Warriors, my rookie year, the 95-96 Bulls, you're going to lose some games, but you can't get embarrassed. That's just unacceptable. We don't got no more time to be saying, oh, it's okay, it's preseason. This momentum we're riding right now, this wave we're riding, it's not good. It's not good at all. And coming from a guy who's usually pretty positive, we welcome in another man who's always looking at the optimistic side of things, Steve Smith. Now, if there wasn't enough layers to this Jimmy Butler drama, how about Heat President Pat Riley issuing a statement denying the ESPN report that I referenced earlier, that he, quote, used that kind of language during a conversation with Tom Thibodeau. However, in saying that, Pat Riley is indeed admitting that the Heat and Timberwolves have engaged in Jimmy Butler trade talks, which you never hear about. This thing is wild.
Yeah, it is. And I think whatever the language was used or not used, I think what's happening right now is when you look at two organizations, two presidents or GM, whatever the decisions makers are, is when you have a trade that's close to going down and then there's a monkey wrench thrown in it, this is where the other side gets upset because the deal doesn't go through. You have to go back and your players here, and obviously a business, but you had something set in stone that doesn't go through. it becomes upsetting. And I think they have to go back to the drawing board. And this is where I think on the Timberwolves side, they don't really want to trade Jimmy Butler if you're Tom Thibodeau. And if you're Pat Riley, we thought we had a deal done to make our team much better if you added Jimmy Butler.
Minnesota last year, 15 games above 500 when Jimmy Butler played, 3 games under 500 when he didn't play. Much more on the Jimmy Butler drama to come with opening week tipping off just 4 days away, several teams facing major injury concerns. How about Russell Westbrook here? It's unknown if he'll be ready to play Tuesday night against the Warriors. Westbrook still not cleared for full contact following right knee surgery exactly 1 month ago, which has kept him out the entire preseason. Coach Donovan said that Westbrook is moving in the right direction, but Tuesday's still too far out to make a call.
Well, we know Russell Westbrook is going to go 100 miles per hour, whether it's on the court, whether it's his rehab with his knee. One good thing for him is you want him to take time, because when he comes out there, there will be no period where he's testing his knee. He will be going full blast. And good thing for them is they have a guy like Dennis Schroeder's doing a nice job at the point guard position.
More on Schroeder later in the program. The start to Dirk Nowitzki's historic 21st season in Dallas is being put on hold. The 40-year-old won't be ready for opening night as he continues to work his way back from ankle surgery. There's no timetable for Dirk's return. Coach Carlisle saying on Friday that he expects Dirk to be out multiple weeks. As soon as Dirk does play, he will break Kobe Bryant's record for most seasons with one team. Coach also saying that the team is preparing to open the season without Harrison Barnes due to a hamstring injury.
Well, you know, injuries is tough. And obviously for Dirk Nowitzki, you want to see Dirk come out there and just have that last swan song of him having a great career. And obviously I would love to see him on opening night. Everybody can cheer him. But once he gets back, we understand he's Dirk Nowitzki. He's earned the right to come in and knock down some jump shots, help this team, and I'm still glad to see him around. Harrison Barnes' injury is going to hurt them a little bit starting this season. A team like the Dallas Mavericks, who didn't make the playoffs, you want to try to get off to a good start.
Well, the Spurs continue to take body blows. Derek White, the latest to get bit by the Spurs' contagious injury bug. The promising young guard suffered a left foot injury during his start Wednesday night. No official return has been listed. However, Coach Popovich told reporters that White could miss 2 to 4 weeks. White was the Spurs' leading scorer during Summer League, and he helped the Austin Spurs win the 2018 G League Championship. White got the start for DeJounte Murray, who's out for the year after tearing his ACL. Look at this injury list. Unknown if Rudy Gay will be ready for next week. Lonnie Walker, mentioned White and Murray.
And then also, not injuries, but there's no Manu Ginobili retirement, and Tony Parker, 2 guys have been with Popovich, and, you know, the trust factor and the, obviously, familiarity with those guys. And now you're looking at, there's a lot of guards and wings out, and some young guys who need this time, and also some guards that you need, because there are not a lot of ball handler decision makers on that roster right now. 21
consecutive seasons making the playoffs. That looks like it is in serious jeopardy to start the year. Opening week right around the corner, and of course NBA TV will get you set before and after each night here on NBA TV. You'll want to tune over to TNT on Tuesday and Thursday for a pair of doubleheaders during opening week. It all gets started Tuesday. Boston and Philly in what many believe will be an Eastern Conference Finals preview. Then you'll see the Warriors hang their third banner in 4 years as Durant, Curry, Clay, and Draymond, as well as the entire Warriors squad, welcome the Thunder. Still to come, the results of Smitty's 3-week project. He has his 5 takeaways from the preseason, and the Knicks weren't the only ones who had eyes on an undrafted scoring machine. And next on Game Time, complete in-depth highlights and Smitty's reaction to the final tune-up for the Lakers and Warriors. Game Time coming back. Steph Curry did not. He hit 4 triples. No Durant. Draymond, he's okay. He's playing, and he finds Steph Curry for 3.
Spin around and take a 3.
I've always been meaning to ask you, do you know the way to San Jose?
No, I don't.
Oh.
What's the way?
Well, I don't know. The Lakers and Warriors figured it out, and a whole bunch of fans up there in California watching these two. Look at them showing off. Damian Jones on the receiving end from the Curry alley-oop. Curry, another screen, and yeah, he's right. 16 points for Curry.
No dribbles.
In the first quarter.
Not at all. Just catch and shoots. Okay.
Look at Riley.
Showing a little dance move. Wait a second. JaVale McGee shooting a 3.
He's had one of those in his entire NBA career. That came way back in 2013 when he was playing for the Nuggets. A 3-pointer for the new stretch 5 of the Lakers. Klay Thompson, he shoots 3s.
Yeah, these guys really shoot 3s. Just love the way they play. Ball is moved around quickly.
Klay had 21 points. What happens here? Ooh. Now, they were joking around before the game, Draymond and LeBron. Here, Michael Beasley, he's not kidding around. It's right into it with Draymond Green. Beasley give it a tech. Moments later, Beasley walks back. Beasley and Draymond receive Second technical, Michael Beasley. He's gone.
Real quick.
Lance Stevenson and Quinn Cook fouls him. Now, Steve Kerr has said he is excited for the energy in the gym when these two get together 4 times a year. This is starting here in San Jose.
Yeah, it is. You can see Cook not backing down, and Lance is early to the showers.
Right, and again, these Lakers team and Riley's
still getting it in.
Yeah. Extra points for the Warriors on that one.
It's going to be good when they play in the regular season. It's going to be very good.
So for what it's worth, the Lakers wrap
Christmas Day.
Can't wait for that one. The team, by the way, that had the MVP and won the most games in the NBA last season, the Houston Rockets, they played all their guys on Friday night against Memphis and Carmelo Anthony. Look at this. Coming off. Melo, corner 3.
James.
Remember, this team hit 28 threes in their previous preseason game.
28. That's a lot of 3. Let Melo. Okay, Melo's looking comfortable. Now this is ridiculous. Okay, CP3. It's just preseason. Easy against my Spartan, Jaren Jackson Jr. Nothing you can do to keep a hand up.
You can't get any closer to him.
No, not at all.
Mike Conley.
So happy to see Mike Conley back.
He had 15 for the Grizz. He could stay healthy, and Saul could stay healthy, get something from Chandler Parsons. This team, maybe they make some noise. Maybe they challenge the end of that Western Conference playoff race.
Okay, Jaren Jackson playing bully ball against Melo.
So good and so efficient, too. Jaren Jackson, 18.7.
Cool.
He looks very confident out there on the court.
Yeah, he's comfortable with the basketball. And this kid is very comfortable, James Harden.
Yeah, he had 23 points for the Rockets as they go on the road. And look at this. Rockets open up Wednesday against the Pelicans, and the Grizz have the Pacers. Have the Mavs found another international star? Highlights from Mavs Hornets and a discussion about the Doncic hype machine next on Game Time. How each of the first-year players are performing. Over the next few minutes, we're going to show you several of the top 10 picks from the 2018 NBA draft. Starting with number 3, Luka Doncic. Got the Dallas Mavs home for the Hornets, and here comes Doncic. The steal, put it up top, and Dennis Smith Jr. Look at the connection.
This combination is exciting to see. You have both guys he can handle, and obviously you have one as a super high flyer. Look at, is that Malik Monk knocking that one down?
Yeah. Guy who certainly wants more playing time this year. And by the way, watching Malik Monk some Monks in Dallas.
Okay.
Coincidence? I think not. More from Monk, the crossover. And then Willie Hernandez-Gomez, the layup. They're expecting big things out of him, the former New York Knickerbocker. Monk had 8 points and 5 assists.
Okay, Doncic with a nice step back. Pretty good move. It's not quick, but he's deceptive, and he has some skills.
Right.
Separation, that's all you need, no matter how you get it.
But you know he can play make, but creating for himself, right, as well, that's going to be watched. Defenders much better here than over in Europe.
Nice move, nice cut. He's showing a little athleticism.
Now back to Charlotte here. Oh, but Doncic, the steal. Turns it into some offense. Worried about his defense too, right? So far, so good.
So far, so good. He's comfortable. You can see right here. Great feel, great vision. Looked the defensive off with his eyes, and then it made a perfect pass.
By the way, DeAndre Jordan asked on Friday night what he brings to the Mavs that they were missing. A sense of style, fashion. Charlotte got it going a bit. Miles Bridges.
It's a nice 3. We get comfortable, Sparty.
13 points, 7 rebounds for him. Charlotte goes on the road to win, but the story here is the performance of Luka Doncic, who, after committing 4 turnovers in each of his first 3 preseason games, Doncic just 1 miscue in 31 minutes on Friday. So, Smitty, the number 3 pick heads into the regular season, averaging about 15 points, 3.5 assists, making 10 of 23 from 3 during 4 preseason games.
Well, I love what Coach Carlisle is doing. He's just letting him play to his strengths. He's not saying, hey, we're going to have you at a certain position. They are just playing free range basketball. And it's not something where it's not styled the way where they're just going out and playing loosey-goosey. His feel, Is he a point guard? Is he a small forward? He's a basketball player. So is Dennis Smith Jr. And both those guys together, people have been asking who's the point guard, who's not, who's going to be the #1 guy. You just go play basketball, and you have two unselfish guys who know how to play. And if you're playing to win, it will work out. And so far, so good for those two youngsters.
All right, got some news out of Miami tonight. A report says that the Heat have agreed to a 3-year extension with Justice Winslow, who's often been talked about as a guy maybe the Heat are dangling out there in trade talks, or maybe one that they were protecting, wanting to hang on to, a former first-round pick back a couple of years ago. Had the Heat not gotten a deal done with Winslow prior to Monday, they would have had to wait till the end of the season to negotiate, at which time Winslow would have become a restricted free agent. We got the Heat and the Hawks wrapping up the preseason, and Jeremy Lin, wrong shorts.
It's okay.
We see that from the Charlotte Hornets the other day. Somebody forgot to wear their jersey. Jeremy Lin, new year.
Way to go change.
Gotta get the right shorts on there. Lin and the Hawks in Miami take on the Heat, and there's Jeremy Lin.
Right shorts. He's playing well with the right shorts.
Lin, 20 points, 7 of 10 from the field. Dwayne Wade playing.
Okay, Dwayne Wade getting a little rust knocked off, and there's Trae Young.
That looked like the game winner he had the other night.
Well, the game winner was a little deeper.
Now pass, Kent Bazemore.
That's what you got to watch. You see his passing with either hand and his vision. The kid is a basketball player who loves to play and plays with a lot of confidence. He's going to be okay.
Played just 16 minutes, Trae Young did, scored 11 points, had 5 assists. Hassan Whiteside, curious to see what his role will be with the Heat, how often he'll play in big moments of games this year, or Spoelstra often put him on the bench last year. Josh Richardson, he's also been one that many believe Minnesota wants back in return as part of the package for Jimmy Butler. Richardson, 24 points.
Yeah, so he can do it on both ends. You can see his scoring is up, being able to knock down shots. He plays extremely hard on the defensive end. He's a nightmare, so the Heat are looking to reap the rewards from having this young guy.
Look where we're going to.
Sparty to Breslin. The house I built.
That's right, and Blake Griffin trying to tear it down there. Watch the rims. They're expensive.
Easy, Blake.
Got Detroit taking on Cleveland, where the East apparently runs through.
Was that Channing Frye?
That
okay,
is
Channing with the left.
Put it on the highlight reel for the year. Blake Griffin.
Nice move.
Look at this guy. He can score. We know that. Dwayne Casey wants him to be a passer, wants him to be a facilitator, a guy that can get the ball and do a whole lot with it. Blake, 11 of 17 from the field, 29 points.
Ooh, he is going at the front line of the Cavs.
Are you okay if Blake leads the team in assists rather than a Reggie Jackson?
No, I mean, I like him being able to pass, but I think ultimately you got to have a Reggie Jackson leading this team in assists, because Reggie Jackson's guy's going to have his hands with the basketball, should be more than Blake.
All right, that was Andre Drummond from Stanley Johnson. Drummond, 21 points, 15 rebounds. We also saw a highlight there from Colin Sexton for the Cavs, the 8th pick in the draft. Sexton had 8 points on 4 of 10 shooting for Cleveland. Spurs and Magic and another high draft pick. We've got Mo Bamba in action for the Orlando Magic, taking on the Spurs. And Mo, got the Bamba there.
That was too easy. Okay. Not a lot of defense right now from the Spurs in this preseason game.
And where's the offense coming from? Well, here, LaMarcus Aldridge, Patty.
The ball's going to move with the Spurs no matter what.
Right on the 2-man game. Now Aldridge again, working on Jonathan Isaac.
Ooh, way to take the young fellow to school right in that paint.
DeMar DeRozan. That's what he's going to do, attack, right?
He can attack.
Interesting to see how DeRozan and Aldridge learn to share the ball where they like to work. And on the final night of the preseason, DeRozan leads the team with 20. LaMarcus had 13. The man-on-man, as we talked earlier, just injuries continue to devastate the San Antonio Spurs. Well, the Bucks, they can avoid injury. Feel they can go pretty deep in the Eastern Conference this year. More from Giannis Antetokounmpo's triple-double Friday night in Milwaukee.
Disapprove of it, or are you just ignoring it, or how are you dealing with this?
Just like I said, we're just happy that we get to play basketball tonight here in Milwaukee. Get a chance to come out here and play for the first time in a while.
Are you guys getting tired of having to answer questions about this? I mean, the look says it all right now.
I mean, are you tired of hearing me say I want to play basketball today here in Milwaukee? So you let me know.
Will you be happy to pick up a basketball if Jimmy Butler is still on this team Wednesday night?
I'm happy to play basketball with anybody.
That's the challenge of the NBA. And, you know, every team is going to go through something at some point of the season. For us, it's early on, and the challenge is not to get distracted, to get ready for the season. That's the most important thing. This isn't an individual sport, it's a team sport. And that's what we have to focus on.
What kind of advice do you give your team to get through this with all this attention?
Don't get, you know, like in the NBA, you can get distracted very easily. Every day there's something. So understand what's important, get ready to play, understand what goes into winning, and you focus on the guys that are here.
If Jimmy does come back and there's no deal made and he's playing with you guys, are you worried that more incidents like that might happen and be a distraction to the team?
As I said, some of what reported was correct, some was not. So in every practice there could be something. And the important thing is not to get sidetracked and to focus on what you need to do as a team.
Well, how would they play Friday night? Those were the comments from both Karl Anthony Towns and Tom Thibodeau after Friday's shootout in Milwaukee. Obviously, no Jimmy Butler. Here's the final tune-up. And by the way, Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for this season, if anybody was wondering. We'll get to the Jimmy Butler saga in a moment. But how about Giannis, Smitty?
Well, we've seen these type of plays, but he's able to take and absorb more contact, and he's so confident right now in his abilities. As you can see, he is running over guys. He's gotten super strong, Jared, and he's showing us the jump shot that he's developed over the summer.
There wasn't much defense. Giannis doing a little bit of everything. Quick ball movement from Mike Budenholzer. We'll see more of that.
You will see. Won't be a lot of dribbling. This guy will get a chance to do whatever he wants, but this is what we're getting accustomed to seeing. These are over guys, and he's just dunked by Giannis. I mean, he is, like you said, and he's ready for the regular season. And the Wolves, they're not.
Monster line from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Gets the triple-double. He does it in 25 minutes of action, shooting 13 of 17 from the field. And listen, not a great number from three, but they'll take it 2 of 5 as Giannis gets more proactive with the long ball, and that'll be a deadly weapon for him. Third game of the preseason, the Timberwolves have allowed the opponent to score 125 points or more. This one was 143. Get it to preseason. Let's get back to the Jimmy Butler story here as we visit with Steve Smith, Jared Greenberg. So Tibbs, as we heard him talk Friday morning, doesn't want this situation to be a distraction. So Smitty, unless Tibbs himself announces that Butler won't return at any point until this all gets resolved, there will be a daily uncertainty about Jimmy Butler's status for practice and for games. How can it possibly not be a distraction?
Well, he's doing the right thing, trying to have his young guys in his organization, try to get on the same page and try to deflect things. But, Jared, let's face it, it's a distraction because we're not talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves, their talent, and whether they need to improve, what their strengths, how do they look going into the regular season. All that's been not even on the back burner, on the back burner. We're talking about the distractions, dysfunction. Will he get traded? When will he get traded? Who is allowed to trade him? Who can I talk to you, Jared? Can I talk to other guys? It's so much other things than basketball. It's a distraction and will be a distraction until they come to some kind of resolution, whether that's Jimmy Butler just playing it out or Jimmy Butler not playing. Once they make that decision, like you said, it's going to have to come from upper management and ownership now because Glenn Taylor has injected himself into making decisions, and he rightfully so, he's the owner.
Sure.
But that wasn't the way it was set up before the season start. But right now we have a lot to talk about, and a lot of it is off the court with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
A lot of people weighing in, and as you know, people like to take sides. I'm going to say, regardless here of whose side you might be on, whether it be the owners, the president, who happens to be the head coach, the player, or whether you think one or all of them are wrong, how does Butler, how he's handled this, couldn't the team president looked at this in trade talks and said, listen, Minnesota, we're now in trouble. And as people look at Jimmy Butler, they're going to say, well, do I want Jimmy Butler? Do I want to offer Tom Thibodeau a whole lot to get him after the antics he's pulled? Do I want to offer Jimmy Butler a max contract next summer with how he's acting and all this? Couldn't this all do damage to Butler's reputation?
Well, I think somewhat, and obviously it'll be some guys, like you just said, people taking sides, but I think more for Jimmy Butler, he still has a chance to go play, and he can prove his worth. We know he's a fantastic player. the timing of everything is going on. That's what's the part that's damaging for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Their leverage is each day we have some more drama is going out the door when you start to negotiate. So I think for them that's the hard part. And then also you go back and look at the future, what they gave up for Jimmy Butler, that's going to play a big hand. And when you start looking at this entire situation down the line, what did they get back for Jimmy Butler and what did they gave up in both instances, to the Chicago Bulls and whoever this new team would be. So right now I think the good organizations, you have adversity, Jared. We've seen this before and guys have, but the good organization resolve it quick, and I think that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have to do. And I'm not saying they have to trade him quick, just take whatever. Just resolve how you're going to handle this. Is he playing? Is he practicing?
Right.
Or is he going to let him stay at home? Or will he be with the team or not? They have to resolve it.
Right, because that's what people are looking at here, Glenn Taylor included. We gave up Chris Dunn, we gave up Zach LaVine. They got Lauri Markkanen in the deal. But all of that will be factored into the package once Jimmy Butler if he is indeed traded. We come back, it's a battle of boroughs at MSG as the Knicks and Nets ramp up their preseason. Is there some positives heading into the new year for these big outfits of Dwight Howard in a Charlotte Hornets uniform? Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, Smitty, but the Wizards' big offseason edition hasn't played or practiced since training camp opened in Washington. A back injury has kept Dwight Howard off the court, and Coach Brooks saying Friday that while Dwight probably will practice Monday, he wouldn't commit to a timeline for Dwight to be ready for game action. Well, game action, final preseason tune-up for the Wizards. They've got Guangzhou Long Lions in from the Chinese Basketball Association. They've been in town all week practicing with the Wizards. And how about this guy? Remember him? Mo Spates.
He is definitely comfortable in a NBA arena. See the smile? Is he auditioning, Jared, trying to get back in the league?
I don't know if Steve Kerr ever gave him a green light as bright as the one he had on Friday in D.C. Troy Brown Jr., the first-round draft pick for the Wizards, showing off here.
So his versatility is much needed for this team. He can play a little bit of point. He's a great passer. Obviously, he can score, and he's confident. And I think we look at his length as far as on the defensive end. Here's a kid that will get a chance, I think, to get some playing time, with the Washington Wizards. And I love Devin Robinson.
Yeah, Troy Brown Jr. had 21. Devin Robinson, you mentioned him there. He had 23. John Wall, Bradley Beal both sat out, as well as I mentioned Dwight Howard. Mo Spates, how about this? 41 points, his career high, and in the NBA, 32 points. Kristaps Porzingis still out, rehabbing the injury. Will we see him at all this year? Knicks and Nets, it's a big battle in New York, and look at this. Trey Burke came to play in the final preseason game of the year for New York. He came out strong last year for the Knicks,
Did he? When he got called up, he gave himself a nice opportunity, and that's why we're seeing him again this season.
All right, a guy who believes he should have been the most improved player in the NBA last year, Spencer Dinwiddie. He hit from three there. How about Karis LeVert? A lot of young talent the Nets are trying to develop.
I mean, they have some guys with Karis LeVert. Obviously has some injuries coming out of college. He can definitely play D'Angelo Russell.
How about this guy? He does more than block shots. Jared Allen from the corner. Stretch five.
Jared Allen setting up in that corner, knocking down threes. Boy, the league has changed.
What's better, his stroke or the hair? To mention here, Tim Hardaway Jr.
His hair, Mike, for sure.
Okay. X-ray is negative for Tim Hardaway Jr. on a wrist injury. Not good in the last preseason game of the year for New York. D'Angelo Russell hits the floater. He had 18 points.
He looks comfortable. And there's Porzingis. That's a good sighting, at least to see him walking around and being around the team.
Hazonia continues to put up some numbers here. Noah Vonleh, we'll see how much run he gets with the Knicks this year. You got Zach LaVine, been mentioning a lot about the Jimmy Butler deal. Remember, he was sent before last season to Chicago, signed a big extension over the summer. Look at the move by Zach LaVine, taking on the Nuggets here. Bulls pushing in transition, and LaVine on a Friday night.
Young Bulls, you can see those youngsters getting out and having a good time. And look at Murray. I like Jamal Murray.
Remember, the GMs picked him to have a breakout season this year for the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, I know he's a favorite of yours. Talking about modern-day big, does a little bit of everything. The offense runs through him.
Reminds me a lot of the guy I played with in Arvydas Sabonis. Not a lot of foot speed when I play with Arvydas, but they just have great feel for the game, and confidence level is at an all-time high. This is Jabari Parker.
Well, much like Jokic, doesn't need to play D when you're scoring, right? He doesn't want to play much D. Parker, 19 points off the bench for the Chicago squad.
Looking good. Look at the stroke. Everybody's working on the three ball.
Including you, I've heard. Denver wraps things up here with a Friday night win in Chicago, which is where Michael Jordan won 6 titles. Kobe got 5 rings. And each one of those 11 championships looks similar. The Bulls and Lakers were both executing the triangle offense created and perfected by Tex Winter. A genius can still be spotted in the Warriors dynasty these days. The story of basketball will forever include Winter's triangle. However, Wednesday, after 96 years, the Hall of Fame assistant coach passed away. Ro Parrish has more.
During his 6-decade coaching career, Fred Tex Winter became known as one of the game's greatest innovators. After more than 30 years as a successful coach in college, he would turn to the professional ranks, where in 1985 he became an assistant with the Chicago Bulls. Winter eventually worked under head coach Phil Jackson, and they started a long and successful basketball partnership.
Tex Winter was a stalwart companion of mine as a coach for 15 years of these 20. So that was a real good teamwork that we had together.
Their relationship was special. Phil really understood Tex, and Tex really understood Phil. And the two of them together mixed made a nice match.
He was pretty much the one that really spearheaded our offense.
That offense was Winter's brainchild, one he had been teaching and perfecting for decades. It was called the triple post. However, later it would become better known by its signature shape.
Basketball is a game of geometry. We preach that a great deal of the time. So here you have a triangle on the sideline. Here's a triangle between these 3 men. Here's a triangle between these 3 men. So that's why we call it the triangle offense.
So it was a ball movement, player movement offense. And a lot of us had not been exposed to that at all. So it was different, and it took a lot of time for us to kind of grasp it. He did not let any aspect of the offense go without being drilled upon.
After helping the Bulls to 6 NBA championships, he would follow Coach Jackson west, where Tex would be an integral part of 4 more titles with the Los Angeles Lakers.
I call him Yoda. I mean, I was extremely fortunate to have him. So he basically raised me. And when he first got here, I mean, it was he and I in a room talking basketball, watching film hours and hours and hours. He, as well as Phil, is responsible for my evolution as a basketball player and seeing the game differently.
A lot of what I do here with the Warriors is patterned after the things I learned from Tex. He was a unique individual and had touched thousands of lives, and Tex was a special person to me and everybody who played for him.
Tuesday night, opening night in the association, and NBA TV's coverage starts early. 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific. Skip work, skip school, just be locked into NBA TV. Followed after game time as starters, then Smitty's favorite show, 10 before tip, 6:30.
That's your show, huh? I think
well, I'm on it.
You're marketing, huh?
We lead right into TNT's doubleheader on Tuesday night. So before we get to the regular season, let's put a bow on the preseason. We give you Smitty's 5 takeaways from the exhibition action. Let's start here with the Jazz, but not about the defense, the offense.
Yeah, the offense, and obviously the Utah Jazz last season, their offense has struggled at times. We know they're very efficient and can defend, but they got out in this preseason 5-0 far as record, but the offense averaging 123 points in the preseason. Yes, it's the preseason, but those guys got the rhythm going. They knocked down shots. Grayson Allen averaging 12.6 points, shooting 50 from the field and about 50 from 3, so he's definitely helping that offense for the Utah Jazz.
It was an offense that was 19th in the NBA in scoring per game last year. Speaking of scoring, the Wizards, takeaway number 2 from the preseason, their bench, they need to be big this year.
Yeah, number 1 so far in the preseason, scoring-wise, and last year they were ranked around 16. They have some new additions. Troy Brown, their junior, their draft pick. Austin Rivers has come over. Satoransky, who played a lot of starters minutes, I think is going to be fantastic. Oubre Jr.
But Jeff Green.
And, oh, man, Uncle Jeff Green, who I think is going to be a great addition for them. So that's good for the Washington Wizards. We know they're loaded as far as a starting, unit, but I think this bench can definitely help them.
And we learned the other day that Bradley Beal is the president of the Jeff Green fan club. He's really excited to play with him. Go up little north to Madison Square Garden. The Knicks looking for some players. Don't know what they're going to be all about, but an undrafted rookie has your eye.
You know, and I was surprised he wasn't drafted, but I think you start to look at this New York Knicks team and you have a guy that's a surprise guy, Alonzo Trier. He has been fantastic. Like I said again, undrafted, but he's averaging 14 points, shooting 47%. He has a chance to get some major minutes with the Knicks. He's another isolation guy that can get his shots and can play well. He was a big-time player coming out of high school and college, just didn't get drafted.
On a two-way contract, it appears he'll start with the Knicks G League team, and then as the Knicks need guys, they will bring him into the Garden to play. Let's talk about a backup for the Oklahoma City Thunder. We mentioned Russell Westbrook's injury earlier. What does Dennis Schroeder do for this team, and what have you noticed so far?
Well, you have a starter that was with the Atlanta Hawks, and obviously through this trade that he'll get a chance to come off the bench and I think also play with the Russell Westbrook. I mean, Dennis Schroeder can flat out defend. He's one of the guys that can play pick and roll, can get into the lane. What I like about him, he got a chance to gain some trust with the staff, also with his teammates while Russell Westbrook is out. I think he's going to be a great addition for the OKC Thunder.
In the preseason, Schroeder, 22 assists, just 11 turnovers. Everybody says Sam Presti had the great offseason retaining Paul George, obviously. But the Schroeder move and some of those tweaks Presti made were big for the bench as well. All right, we've been talking a lot about the Jimmy Butler drama in Minnesota. Let's shift the attention there to what Tom Thibodeau does have available to him. Karl Anthony Towns, not acceptable, not happy with how they've been playing in the preseason. He was third-team All-NBA. Is a guy like Towns ready now to take that next step and carry a team to a playoff?
You know, and that's the big question. Even with Jimmy Butler, they didn't have any distraction. It was like, when can when can Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins take that next step far as their game, far as leadership? And now if no Jimmy Butler, where does it come from? They have some guys in Derrick Rose, Luol Deng, and also Taj Gibson, but I think it has to come from Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins.
Well, they say that the score and result doesn't matter in the preseason, but does it? We come back on this edition of Game Time and tell you how the Warriors have fared over their last 4 runs to the NBA Finals in exhibition action and what it may mean for the season ahead. Game Time coming right back on NBA TV. Of the preseason, Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum.
Ooh, he got into his jump shot quick.
McCollum, 14.5, 21 in the game against the Sacramento Kings. Number 2 pick, Marvin Bagley III.
I like his game.
Got the start the last 2 times out. Last 2 games, 14 of 28 from the field. Interesting to see what position he gets used at.
Score.
How about Myers Leonard rising above the rim? Leonard, 13-point fourth quarter. He had 17 for the game. Seth Curry over Leonard from downtown. Portland wraps up the preseason with a W. At the buzzer, what's behind your preseason record? Well, if you were the defending champs, doesn't mean anything. That Golden State wasn't very good this preseason. Last time they were below 500, they lost in the finals. More from this game. We showed you the highlights earlier. Remember when Lance Stevenson got ejected? Well, Golden State had the option to pick somebody from the Laker bench to shoot a free throw. Steve Kerr said, LeBron James, you're the guy.
That's pretty good. You can see they're having a lot of fun. And Steph and those guys, definitely, they're trying to get him to take off his sweats and get out there and shoot the free throw.
And they know if the King has any weakness, it's fourth quarter free throws, right?
Okay.
But here's the real problem. LeBron didn't have a jersey, so that's why
what it was. Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
He should have got a tick.
So JaVale McGee was the next choice.
I'm sure they picked JaVale.
Listen, you have to pick out something with LeBron.
Yes.
Dude, he's going to win MVP.
You ready for the season?
Let's go. Come on.
Let's go.
Preseason over. We'll see you in the regular season.